Hello, we are from Studio Group 1, and in this presentation, we are going to propose to you our idea of the design and construction of iRoom. But first of all, I would like to have a brief introduction about this project. In first place, what is our vision of this project? When we look around to see what is happening to our world, globalization would be the best term to describe. People from all around the world are getting closer and closer to each other, thanks to the development of technologies which allow fast and easy transfer of information. Hence, the overall productivity of mankind is greatly increased. Yet, this also leads to the upsurge of competitiveness. So, in order to survive this generation, efficiency, simplicity, and comprehensiveness are the keys, just like the iPhone, which is easy to use and provides multifunctions, especially for complicated industries like construction industry. Time is always the biggest concern. So, we need something to help us generate ideas and discuss our strategies in an effective way. And that is why iRoom should be provided. For our proposal of iRoom, our vision is one for all as one, which means our iRoom is to serve all kinds of parties, including our students and the practitioners. And also, we hope to include all useful functions and services in our iRoom. For the selection of location of iRoom, in order to accomplish our vision, the location must be large enough and allow efficient use of space. Since we are informed that the development will be located on the fifth floor of those buildings. So we have shortlisted Studio and KB5 to 6, which are the two biggest rooms. But eventually we have chosen KB5 to 6 because of the following reasons. Firstly, unlike Studio, KB526 is column-free design so that it allows efficient use of space. Secondly, it is around 1,800 square feet, which is large enough for a meeting room. Last but not least, since it was originally a lecture room and meeting room, so most of the setups and facilities can be reused, which can promote environmental friendliness.
Now, let me introduce virtual design construction to you. From definition, it is the management of integrated multidisciplinary performance models of design construction project, including the products, work process, and organization of design construction operation team in order to support explicit and public objectives. So what exactly is it? Simply say it is a computer-based description of the design and construction of the project. Models will be used to set goals, design elements, and describe the function of elements among parties that will be involved. Computer software will be used to visualize the models, including the facilities and even the work processes. The models are connected and integrated so that a single amendment on a model would make effect on others. Every party can access the data and use the information to execute and manage the project. It can help visualize, analysis, and evaluate the project performance. Interoperability on the aspects that could be designed and managed will be also be improved. There are three main elements in a VDC project. They are the modeling stage, visualization stage, and the analysis stage. They form the flow of a project. In the modeling stage, we have to set goals with clients and other parties. The information among models will be specified in order to make the model more detailed and unified. The models would help us identify the resource user. This is so-called defining the projects. And this time we would use pop model in this stage. Identify the products, organization, and process, and it is object-oriented. It can describe the shared information easily. In the visualization stage, we will make use of computer software to construct a BIM, a 3D structural design model. It is a digital presentation on physical and functional characteristics of places. It helps identify the exact location and amount of discrepancy. The uncertainty could then be reduced. Then we would develop a system for the information exchange among parties, including the architects and the contractors. Parties can gather amend and modify the project and extract the information from the system to execute the projects. Then, in the analysis stage, we would use the visualized model to analyze and evaluate the project performance. We based on the model to address problems mathematically and visually. The aspects will be including qualities, schedule, cost, process risk, and etc. It can facilitate the simulation and modification of the project. These are what we have been doing during the design process of this iRoom project, and it is what we are going to present to you in the following presentation. We would also like to integrate the VDC into the function of iRoom due to its potential value. VDC can help modify several aspects with one single change. It is interactive and understandable, and making vertical project supply chain. The prediction of performance and information extracting will also be easier than before. We can foresee its further application in numerous fields. However, there will be some difficulties when executing the projects if no adequate computer skills is acquired. Also, due to the lack of experience and practice, the project will also be more expensive in this stage. We would also like to deliver a ROM that is suitable for designing projects using VDC to students. It is because it gives clear definition to projects and helps students make the project outline systematically. They will learn the latest way to design a construction project.
Now, let me present to you the design of the iRoom. First, let's take a look at the private discussion room. The private discussion room is for small group works and presentation use. It is soundproof and of high level of privacy, with the glass of variable transparency that is adjustable in the private discussion rooms. Next, let's take a look at the retractable iChairs. The iChairs are comfortable to sit with and is retractable into the ground to save space, so we can have a large area for exhibition for architectural students. Next, let's take a look at the smart lighting system. The smart lighting system is adjustable to accommodate all the needs of different use of the room. For example, it has tutorial mode, presentation mode, lecture mode, etc. Next, let's take a look at the smartboard. The smartboard is a very good design that integrates human body motion together with the projections. Therefore, it allowed real-time interaction by human body or by any tools that is provided with the smartboard that is connected with the use. Moreover, the smartboard is also connected to all the iTables in the room. Therefore, all the documents and presentations can be shared to the smartboard in no time to facilitate presentations and lectures. Next, that is a retractable iTable. The retractable iTables allow group works to be done at the same time by all the group mates on the touchpad available on the iTable. It can also allow projections of graphics to be projected immediately in 3D with all architectural software designs like Revit to be shown to the tutors and to the lecturers. Next, that is the stand. The stand is an official use for presentations and lectures.
Here comes the picture showing the iRoom without the iTables and iChairs. It is actually very spacious without all the tables and chairs, stand and stage. It is the best venue we can have in the Nose building for an exhibition of works, whether by our discipline or by the architecture students. It can also be a very good venue to hold cocktail sections for any guest lectures or ceremonies to be held, especially a good chance to interact with those guests. The smart lighting system also enables spot lighting to the exhibition works. The spot lightings can be adjusted. Here shows the demolition and construction process of the room 526. First of all, we remove all the movable items in the rooms, including the chairs, tables, and cupboards. Then, the floor and wall finishes are removed. Lastly, the outdated electric and ventilation systems will be removed so that new systems can be installed first during the construction process. Floor and wall finishes to be constructed in the next stage. Notice that the suspended floor will be installed in order to fit the specifications of the tables and chairs. When they are retracted, they can be fitly installed inside the suspended floor. Then we will install the doors and partitions, and lastly the tables and chairs and other add-on elements.
Our iRoom aims at achieving two objectives. The first one is to provide interaction between different participants. We hope to encourage the involvement of audience with the presenter. Also, we would like to allow different systems to be connected together as a whole and as a central system. The second objective is to provide flexibility to different users. We decide to give the highest convenience to them with our user-friendly design. It allows the work efficiency to be maximized. So, we use the pod model to illustrate our idea of iRoom. Pod model allows us to obtain an overview of the project at early stage. It also allows us to identify the building element, parties, and work steps of the project. They are categorized into product, organization, and process respectively in the pod model. The relationship between these three aspects of the project can then be found. Moreover, pod model can facilitate the establishment of a well-organized project team. Let's choose one product of iRoom to demonstrate the use of pod model. For example, iDoor is put under the category of interaction. The objective and use of it is shown in the function part, which is to allow booking of rooms for meetings or presentation. We can see the detailed description in the form part. iDoor is installed with a screen and is connected to a computer with booking system installed. The number of iDoor provided is also clearly specified in this part. For the behavior part, we can see the estimated cost of it, which is 5,500 per door. The product used for achieving flexibility and those related to building services are listed in the pod model. Then, it is the second part of the pod model, organization. The subject party is shown in the form part and its role and responsibility is listed in the function part. For instance, the client should specify the budget and design requirement of iRoom. We can check the quantity and estimate the professional fee in the behavior part.
For the process part of the POPFFB model, there are also the function part, the form part, and the behavior part, respectively representing the design objective of each item or element, the ways to achieve the design requirements, and the predicted measures for each element. The whole process is divided into different stages, namely the preparation stage, the design stage, the pre-construction stage, the construction stage, and last but not least, the post-construction stage. For example, during the design stage, there should be adjustments of the design after the preliminary design. Therefore, the objective is to adjust the design, which is the function part, and the form part will be how to achieve that. So architects would draw the detailed design of the iRoom instead of a brief one, and the QS would estimate the cost and check with the budget of the project provided by the client, while engineers and other specialists ensure the design and functional requirements can be satisfied. Meanwhile, the behavior which represents the days to be taken for this process is 3 days.
Now, here comes to the model and analysis of iRoom. In this section, some of the special features of iRoom will be introduced. But first of all,
Do you still remember what our vision is? Our vision is one for all as one. So, how can we achieve this vision? In our design, we are trying to fulfill this vision by enhancing the flexibility of the room and the interaction between users within our iRoom. You may ask why and how can we do so? Let me explain more about it. By increasing the flexibility of our room, the iRoom is designed for multi-purpose function. It can be a lecture hall, a tutorial room, self-discussion room, or even conference room. That is what one for all means. As for the interaction between users, we have installed a lot of high-tech equipment such as iTable, iChair, smartboard to suit for this purpose. It helps people interact with each other in a free manner. That is what all as one means. Therefore, flexibility and interaction would be the two main objectives of this iRoom. Let's start with flexibility. There are different products that we will include so as to boost the flexibility of our iRoom. We will focus more on iChair, lightings, and separated discussion rooms. For private discussion rooms, it allows the allocation of space for different purposes simultaneously. Let's take a look at the photo. You can see that there are 3 separated discussion rooms with glass partition. We know that some users may want to retain their privacy while using the rooms, and we have considered that also. So the glass partition can be turned into semi-transparent. This can definitely increase the privacy of users. Another feature is the iChair. The most innovative characteristics of the iChair is that it can be retractable. It means that it can retract to the floor so as to provide a large vacant space for different purposes. Also, another special feature of iChair is that the back of the chair can be adjusted as well as the seating so as to fit your body. The last feature is the lighting system. Lighting is always of paramount importance to users because it directly affects your visual sensation. As this iRoom is designed for multi-purpose usage, there are several default settings which suit for those purposes, such as lecture hall, tutorial, discussion, and conference room. On top of that, we have considered that sometimes the default setting may not be suitable enough for special usage. Therefore, we divide the lighting system into 4 zones, such that people can adjust the dimness according to their actual need.
Next, it comes to the interaction part. For the interaction part, our iRoom consists of 2 elements that provide it. The first one is the smartboard, and the second one is the iTable. For the smartboard, it allows interactive display and integration of human body motion into optical projections, and therefore it allowed information to be shared instantly and to be integrated with our hand motion. It is incredibly convenient for students who is having presentation or tutorial group work. The next one is the iTable. The iTable allows very immediate transfer of information from parties to parties. For example, it allows transfer of documents from one iTable to the other iTable, or even from the screen, from the smartboard. Not only documents, but software files, 3D graphics, etc. The iTable also facilitates individual interactions between students. Next, I'm going to show you the screenshot of a student's iTable screen. From the screen, we can see that we included something like instant messenger connections, so the students could communicate with other iTable users. So they could exchange information and exchange documents in no time. Next, it is a demo graphic showing the iTable projections. The iTable projections, it works on showing 3D graphics or 3D architectural software works, for example like Revit, to the teachers and to the tutors. It allows a more comprehensive observation for the students for the architectural department.
The next part is about business purposes. In our development project, we have used and applied various kinds of tools and models to illustrate our ideas and facilitate the management of our project. In fact, each of them has their own functions and benefits, which will be briefly described now. The first one will be the POP model, which refers to product, organization, and process. It is actually a table that works with the FFB model, and here is a demonstration of the table. The major function of POP model is that it shows the whole picture of the project by identifying the details and interrelationship of different POP items in the project. In this way, it will be easier to develop a well-organized project. The second tool will be BIM, which is Building Information Modeling. It is the process of visualizing the 2D drawings and floor plans into actual models, and the models will keep updating throughout the whole project lifecycle. These two pictures are rendered by BIM, which are very realistic. BIM can actually benefit the projects in three areas, which are the collaboration, productivity, and insights. To be more specific, the visualization of the models can give those stakeholders a much clearer and realistic concept of the structure of iRoom. The information sharing features provided by the software is also good for collaboration and coordination, as both parties can get access to the same set of data and models at the same time. Finally, BIM enables us to detect potential problems and avoid rework, and this can increase the productivity of work. The next one is the organization chart, which is a diagram showing the relationship of different parties. Using the organization chart, we can easily identify the roles and responsibilities of different stakeholders and facilitate the division of labor. If a good organization chart is designed and applied, it can even make the decision-making process more efficient. Take our organization chart as an example. You can see that the project manager is directly under the client and responsible to manage all the contractors and parties. This structure is advantageous to the decision-making process, as the project manager can collect all the information and opinions from the parties and directly report the summarized results to the clients. In this case, the client does not need to separately discuss with each stakeholder, which is much more time-saving. As for the Gantt chart, it is a chart that shows the proposed schedule for all the events and activities, which is commonly applied in project management process. And here is part of our Gantt chart. You can see that the details like the starting dates and the completion dates of different construction activities are listed there. Since realistic timeframes are set, the duration of different events can be predicted easier, and this can help to avoid time clash and delay. The final one will be the 4D animation, which is actually a 3D animation with the addition of time and space concepts. With the use of 4D animation, the planning process of the project will be much easier to understand, as the whole process, which starts from the demolition to the completion, will be shown clearly in the form of video. All in all, those tools and models can bring us 4 major benefits. The first one is that it gives us a more comprehensive view of the project, as we can see the projects from different perspectives. Also, those advanced technology can help us to save more time and money, and with the use of the sharing features of the technologies, it can make the communication process more efficient and effective. And finally, it can facilitate the management of the project greatly.
So now, here are some recommendations for clients, in which we have identified the important issues like the risks involved in the project and how to deal with them. First of all, we will talk about the risks. In general, for any kind of projects, there are two main risks, the time risk and the cost risk. The time risk is basically referring to the delay of completion of the project, and it is mainly due to the problems of transportation or production of materials. It may also be related to the problem of workmanship. For instance, our design of iRoom consists of many innovative technologies like the iTable and smartboard, and their construction method may not be familiar to the construction workers, so they may need extra time to deal with the procedures, and this may lead to the delay of completion. Here, you can have a look at the extract from the POP model. We can see that the estimated duration of different procedures are listed in the table. On the other hand, cost risk is basically the existence of extra expenditure which is unexpected. In general, it would be caused by the problem of workmanship, the underestimation of budget by the QS, or even theft of construction materials. Here is another extract of the POP model, and we have listed out the estimated budgets for different items. So, after identifying the risk, we have to discern which party is responsible for the risks and how they can deal with them. Firstly, for the transportation and production of materials, it is the risk for the purchasing manager. So, the purchasing manager has to keep in touch with the suppliers, and they should choose the reputed and reliable suppliers. And this is usually according to their experience and professional knowledge. In this organization chart, we can see the contractual position of the purchasing manager. Secondly, the workmanship and theft problem is the responsibility of the main contractor. So, they have to supervise the work frequently, and the work should follow strictly to the preset schedule. Also, the main contractor is responsible for the security of the site. Once again, we can see here the organization chart, the contractual position of the main contractor. Lastly, the underestimated budget is the responsibility of the quantity surveyors, the QS. So, they have to estimate the budget carefully, and they should reserve more for contingencies. Again, the contractual position of quantity surveyor can be seen here in this organization chart. Now, in this part, we will discuss who involved in the decision making in the project. The first one and the most important one is our clients, because the clients are the initiators of the whole project, and they are the one to specify all the requirements and preferences of the project and to make the final decision. The second decision maker is the architect, who is responsible to design the iRoom so as to meet the functional requirements specified by our clients. Last but not least, Our QS has to decide the budget of the project and also the procurement and tendering arrangements.
So, why do we do the modeling and analysis? First of all, we can define the project and identify our goals. We use the POP model to find out our project objectives and to organize and list out all the details of the project. Secondly, we can plan the schedule of the project. We use Gantt chart to show the sequence and duration of works in various stages and to supervise the process of the project. We also use BIM to simulate the construction process and to illustrate the design before construction starts. Thirdly, we can link the relationship between different stakeholders. We use the organization chart to show a clear picture of the relationship and responsibility of each party. Last but not least, we can identify and minimize risk of different stakeholders. We use the POP model to estimate the cost of the project. And we use the Gantt chart to find out the duration of each process and to ensure the project can be done in a timely manner. We also use the organization chart to check the responsible person for any specific problems. So to conclude, the reason why we do the modeling and analysis is always related to the control of quality, cost, schedule, and risk. As the project proceeds, there are more decisions on scope, schedule, quality, and risk can be confirmed. Therefore, our modeling and the analysis level of details need adjustments to fit the impact cost. For example, our POP model has its level of detail changed from A level to B level, which means from the range of 1 to 3 process form elements to the range of 9 to 13. For the VDC model, we can change from the 3D model to the 4D animation, so as to give a better simulation of the design. For the Gantt chart, more subtasks will be added so as to show more details during the whole design and the construction stage.
In this studio, I've learned how to cooperate with others, as in to work and contribute ideas to this studio and exchange our works information with one another. As all of us are working on different elements or different methods of organizing our ideas, it is very important to have an efficient flow of ideas and information between every one of us. This is the major part I learned in the studio. Also, as I'm in charge majorly in the creation of BIM model, the requirement of skills in using new software is also very rewarding. I also improved a lot in realizing ideas into reality and to tackle problems by myself.
From the project, I think the reflections are simple, can be divided into 3 parts. For example, the first part is I have learned how to construct a project management flowchart and getting myself aware about the flow and the steps during a project management, for example, like which step we should be paying special attention to. And the second part is the usage of the beam. For the beam, it is a very active tool for constructing our own ideas and present it in the 3D architectural model. Therefore, it did help us a lot in our future career hunting, or even in how to understand a building structure and the building services arrangements. And the third is, I think from the project, I actually inputted a lot of creativity and a lot of novel elements into our building design. For example, like the retractable iChairs and iTables, they are very innovative, although not very practical to daily lives, but I believe one day the technology will become true, and this technology could bring quite a lot of advantages to our students. And for the most of all, I personally think we should add a lot of justifications to our ideas in the project, therefore to convince our tutors and our classmates about our idea and why does the technology should be inputted into the room, but not the others.
In this scenario, our group is required to design a high-tech conference room for the Department of Real Estate and Construction in HKU. The room and facilities should be able to provide a comfortable environment and convenience for a meeting. During the discussion about the innovative design of the conference room, my groupmates have brought up with different creative ideas. We make use of our own experience of using conference room to figure out the requirements of a comfortable and convenient meeting room. We then based on these requirements to design the room. The process is interesting. Using our innovative side is funnier and more meaningful than just doing a report on some facts. Also, we have experience to think on the client side so that the design will be more meaningful. I do also learn how to use VDC to construct a project. I see its potential and I'm impressed. This is the first time I use the POP model. I think it is useful in the future time.
Having been working on the iRoom design in these 3 weeks, I've learned a lot about the concept of iRoom and also the planning works of construction as a project manager. In this scenario, my main task is to coordinate the works of different groupmates and try to combine different pieces of works into one complete image. In addition, I have worked on the design part of the iRoom and the justification of every choice we made for our design. Throughout, 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 throughout.
It is obvious that this scenario is very different from the others. In this scenario, you are not required to search for some standard answers for various topics from the internet and make them up as written reports. Instead, we need to create an iRoom. The word create makes this scenario much more interesting, but at the same time, much more challenging. At the beginning, I thought that it will be intriguing to finish this scenario, as I can finally think out of the box to try something innovative, such as the design of iRoom and the use of different software. However, to my surprise, it is not that easy because I also need to tackle something that I have never learned, such as the POP model, FFB model, and other new concepts. For the whole process, although we have tried our best to make our iRoom perfect, there are still lots of problems which need to be tackled, such as the feasibility of the design and the arrangement of different parties. However, with the help from the facilitator, we could gradually discover our problems and improve the situation bit by bit. One thing that I found it a little bit discouraging is that this scenario can hardly improve the unity of our groups at the beginning, as each member is responsible for different parts of the project and the division of labor is so clear that there is little communication and collaboration between each member. Unfortunately, this situation improves after the second meeting, as we finally realize that each part is interrelated to each other, and the project can succeed only if we can have good communication. All in all, in this scenario, I have a different experience from others, and it is worth trying to design an iRoom. Thank you.
In the discussion and review of the draft report last time, it was found that there were a number of mistakes which need amendments, especially the inconsistency throughout the report. For me, as I was responsible for the POP model with another groupmate, there are points that we have to discuss to design the items to be included in the model, in order to avoid any missing or redundant items, while maintaining consistency. Meanwhile, since the time period included in Gantt chart are basically related to the POP model, while the numbers of some particular items, such as number of chairs in the iRoom design, are also included in the POP model, so we had to base on the figures and details in each part when we constructed the POP model and compromise with those groupmates in case of any difference in figures. This indeed improved a lot my coordination skills after doing a lot of checking and discussing with other group members. What makes me the most satisfied is that I have really learned a lot in how to create the POP and FFB models, which are very, very useful. Last week was my first time of doing it, and there were actually many questions in my mind. For example, what items should be included in which box, as I was not familiar to what product, organization, and process include in terms of their function, form, and behavior. Therefore, I tried my best to put right things in the right boxes, and more importantly, after that, I asked all of my questions during the second meeting, so my problems were all tackled. As I have not touched with video making before, it was really a difficult task for me. But I really learned a lot from my groupmates who are creative and have a great sense in designing. On the other hand, at the beginning, it was quite hard to make all the contents consistent, as quite a lot of details were covered. Therefore, we have long meetings to discuss all the details and come up with the final decision. Without doubt, comments and advice from Dr. Gao, our facilitator, is of paramount importance, although I have referred to those models on the internet to make this more accurate, while detailed, specific adjustments are necessary. All in all, though this scenario was quite a new challenge to us, as nearly all the things covered have not been taught before except BIM, but I indeed learned a lot through this scenario, especially the making of 4D animation, the POP modeling, and the Gantt chart.
In the first week of project, I am majorly responsible in producing a pop model. The discussion process with my groupmates encouraged me to be more involved in this scenario. All of us exert ourselves in brainstorming ideas of the building components as well as the design of iRoom. It is good to see how others think and try to think in their perspective. New ideas can then be formed. Before I start working on the pop model, I have read through some literature and online materials. They are quite difficult and I spend much time in understanding the concepts. It is frustrating that sometimes I cannot fully understand the readings. However, in the end, I can still use my knowledge acquired to build a detailed pop model. I've learned much about pop model. Besides, I have acquired a more concrete understanding on how a VDC project works. Also, I've learned to think of the function, form, and behavior of the building elements as well as their mutual relationship. Without the knowledge of pop modeling, I can hardly link these three aspects together. It allows me to have a clearer picture of the overview of the project. In the early stage, it is hard to decide how to arrange the pop model. I have tried different means to illustrate the building elements. I have to ensure that the pop table can give the clearest guidelines of the project to readers. He is pleased that I can create a clear and detailed table finally. In the second part of the project, I continue to amend and add more details in the pop model. With the comments of the pop model from Dr. Gao, I and my group mates tried to rethink our idea so as to make it more visible and comprehensive. In the end, we are able to list out more building elements with more detailed description, which gives me encouragement to revise the POP model. I found that it's not easy to ensure all the models are consistent. It's because sometimes my idea is different from my groupmates. We have to compromise so as to confirm the details of the items. Although I am only responsible in making the POP model, I still learn much from other models which my groupmates did. The skills and techniques as well as the ways to create this model are the things that I can acquire through the project. Also, I become more familiar to each step of the whole construction process. I've learned how to organize my ideas into a POP FFB table with clear description. I have to ensure that all the details from other models are referred and mentioned in my POP model. Also, the consistency of them is essential. The complicated interrelationship between each model is figured out. It is difficult to give a POP model with very high accuracy as time is limited. The estimated cost of building elements and estimated professional fee of different parties in the project team are only prediction with a very detailed analysis. I have to use my professional knowledge in generating the POP model. Anyway, this scenario provides me with an unforgettable memory and a valuable chance to learn more.
In this scenario, our group is responsible to redesign a lecture room in real estate and construction department. Room 526 is selected to be renovated as a high-tech multipurpose room. After the first meeting, our group has first identified the essential elements in the proposed iRooms. My groupmates really did a great job in designing the features of iRoom. Many brilliant and fascinating ideas have come up, such as the high-tech glass partition wall, the iTable, the iBoard, and the iChair. Then, our group has encountered a problem in structuring the sequence of works, which may definitely affect our project. Yet, we tackle it with reference to some similar projects on the internet. All in all, even this scenario is relatively new to us. I think our group has done a great job.